Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Newman. This is my Skillshare for HSC. It's April 30th, the last day of April in 2024. Wow, so this means about 11 years ago is when I discovered Qigong uh, in Northern California. Uh, and I want to thank HSC and Rob and the whole gang for giving me this opportunity to research and to share this skill, this thing, which I think is very, very important. Um, we've we've all just sort of sat in where we collected our thoughts and sort of settled out, which is a qigong principle. But I wanted to start with, and I wanted to sort of one prime you all, and if you're here live or if you're listening to the video, to sort of think about when someone says qigong or Chinese medicine, or if you even know that those things are related, um, like what comes to mind when you think about qigong, um, and then just to kind of assess your level of consciousness or awareness of this. I know that Josh is here and who is a qigong practitioner. But I'm going to read off some words and just sort of take a mental note or write down, like if you understand or if you have some familiarity with these terms. And we'll be talking about these terms. TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. Six healing sounds, eight pieces of brocade, dantian, meridians, taiji, lao gong, nei gong, push hands, dao de ching. These are some of the words that you will become familiar with as you practice this form of Chinese traditional Chinese medicine called qigong. It's always referred to closely with Taiji or Tai Chi Chuan. And I can go into the definitions of them, but it's really not necessary for whatever reason. Uh, People will want to explain to you and so that you know the difference between these two. But all you need to know is that they're a form of moving, it's a movement practice in the traditional Chinese medicine uh, uh, umbrella. Um, we can talk about qi, the which is actually important and I think important to sort of understand. It's my sort of basic understanding. Um, Qi is life force. Gong means skill or practice, kind of like Gong Fu, uh, Kung Fu, which is another thing that when I got to 10 years ago when I got to Northern California, um, I had these things in mind when I looked in the paper. And I'll tell the story. How does it begin? Okay. Um, it was my birthday in 2013. I just moved the year before. No, it was 2014. And I just moved the year before to Northern California, started living with my brother on a cannabis farm. And, a cannabis farm and your adult brother, things got a little like we kind of, you know, uh, I couldn't live in the house anymore. So I moved out and was sort of on my own. And I realized I was on my own for the first time in a very, very long time. And it was my birthday coming up. And so I was just like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna treat myself? And so I basically looked at every self-healing thing in the Northern California, cafe boards and the little weekly newspaper and signed up for it all. Um, I went to a Nichiren Buddhist chanting. That's the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, folks. That was mind blowing. I stayed with them for a long time. There was yoga classes which I'd had some experience with, which is another story. So I found yoga class. I found there's a hot springs nearby called Harbin Hot Springs. And I went up there and took several different classes of all kinds, and we'll talk about all the different forms. Um, but I found and discovered qigong uh, in a funny in a kind of a funny way, because I was working up in the hills, and on my way home, I would go through this town called Kayville, and there was a studio there, and I was like, oh, it would be great if on my way home I could practice to do some sort of body practice, and the and I just rolled through, and I was like, oh, I'll poke my head in, and I sort of I walked into this yoga studio, and there was this dude, um, Arch, and he says, "Are you very happy? Very, and all this group of people kind of around in a circle, and they're like, oh, are you here? Really happy? Are you here for the Tai Chi Qigong class?" And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. I was uh, I was just looking around. Is anybody, is what goes on here? And he's like, oh, well, well, we've got a qigong class going, but maybe somebody's in the back that can help you. And I was like, oh, okay. And there wasn't anybody, and he was just like, okay, here's the pamphlet, and kind of took a bit of time out of his class. This is the first time I'd met Arch, and he's like, okay, you sure you don't want to stay around? And I'm like, nah, I kind of, I don't know what. Qigong to me was always, and I'm going to show you this. I want to share my screen. This is what Qigong was to me at the time. All right, I've got the link. Oh, wait a minute. No, no, no. Here it is. Oh, you may not be able to hear the sound on this, but this is from the 80s movie called Roadhouse, and that's Patrick Swayze, who is the ultimate badass in the movie, but he's doing Qigong. And it's actually not bad Qigong. There's so many different styles. That's a move called single whip that I know now. But at the time, that's what I saw. And I was like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to do some yoga and kind of unwind after work. Um, so so he's like, okay, fine. And then he I said goodbye. And then the next day, or the next time I was working, I came back and I thought that I was at a different time, and that there was a yoga class going on, but I showed up, and there's Arch again, and he's like, oh, you made it for qigong class. And I was like, just caught, and I was like, yes, yes, I am here for the qigong class. I'm so happy that you invited me, and and that's how it started. Um, so that's how I got involved with Arch, and oh, actually, you probably could get a visual of what Arch looks like. He is great. Oh, do you have to share? Hey, could you guys hear the sound? Oh yeah, here it is. Share sound.
No, I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear
Yeah,
the sound. But I know Roadhouse, the original one, well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just came out. That's what made me think of it. And it seems like there was some other Chuck Norris movie. It's always a warrior who is like old and healing up or doing some kind of restorative, get his head back in the game
Hmm.
practice. Okay, so you can see this. Now I'm going to show you over to where Arch is. Here's Arch.
Oh.
And that's Clear Lake, and that's Mount Konocti there. He lives right here at the base of this mountain, and I'm on the other side of the lake. And we go fishing. That's him with his giant fish. But so so now you get a sense of Qigong and Arch. And so Arch, this class was pretty cool, and it was right around World Tai Chi Day, which I think is the second Saturday in March. So he's like, "Oh, we're going to do this big thing for World Tai Chi Day, where everybody around the world does Tai Chi." Um, he was so I'm like, okay, there, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is happening. I'm learning Tai Chi, um, and basically he's non he's a non-interventionist teacher. And he's like, look, Tai Chi is super easy. All you have to do is these three things. It's easy to remember. You relax, breathe, and ground. And he's like, and then he's like, relaxing is super easy. You're just sort of you let go, you're supple, you're soft, you relax. And I'm sure that he didn't go into this at the time, but he said, you can relax your body, you can relax your sort of mind or your intellect. You can also relax like emotionally or spiritually, if you think about that. But every facet of you can relax. Um, the next thing that's interesting, and that is breathe. Um, Breathing and breath work is fascinating, and one of the main reasons is because it is an autonomic thing that if we don't think about it, it happens automatically. There's a couple of other things. Well, there's a ton of things like that are going on in your body right now, like your heart is beating without you putting any kind of conscious attention to it. Your food is digesting, your kidneys are working, all of your organs are sort of autonomous. Um, Breathing is one interesting thing, your lungs and your breathing, because you can take conscious control of it, which we may get back to later. But the breathing in Qigong is pretty simple. It's just slow and through the nose. And some people do that naturally. Sometimes it's hard. You may get I get some interference from my other body practices like yoga, which is breathing through the nose and then out through the mouth. Um, but Qigong is in and out through the nose mostly. Sometimes I change the breathing. And then this last one, so is relax, breathe, and ground. And ground is a little more esoteric. Um, Grounding, and I like to sometimes we'll call it find your feet, meaning let yourself sink or let yourself root. Now, in Qigong, there are visualizations, and Arch does use this visualization of roots, like tree roots growing from your feet or stretching out actually below your knee. And the interesting thing is there is a bit of a debate about visualization, um, which is just like making a picture, or sensing. Like when you sense your organs, you aren't supposed to visualize your organs. You're actually supposed to, because you actually have them. Um, so the ground and the other, so there's that roots from the feet, but the other one, and this is from Mantek Chia. Mantek Chia is another one of the teachers. I'll show you a picture of Mantek, just so you get a picture. There's Mantek. Mantek Chia says, you have a tail. You have a dragon's tail that extends from your spine out into space, down onto the earth and to the center of the earth. You have a tail, and he's great. We may listen to some Mantek Chia. So I like to think of my tail heavy and hanging down, grounding me, and on the earth. And that does change like how you do your practice. Um, Relax, breathe, and ground. Okay. So that and I started practicing. I loved the the stillness of it. I love the soft movement of it. Um, the I was working in a very physical job, and then actually come to realize at a sort of an emotionally draining sort of situation. During that time, we started the drought and we started the wildfires. So every season there was a bit of terror, and we never knew if the last time we left the house and we went down to the Bay Area, if we would have to come up. My brother, that actually happened. He had to stay down in the Bay for a week or so while the wildfires came through. One night at a friend's place, I got the call that there was a road, there was a fire near my house, and there was a roadblock, and I would not be able to get home. These things take an emotional toll, but uh, Qigong sort of helps with that. And I was able to follow these practices there with Arch at the church. And I wish that I had a great picture, and I couldn't find any good pictures of Arch at class or the place that we did, which is a Methodist church in Clear Lake. Um, so um, these practices really helped me recover from these trauma is kind of bandied around, but like the small traumas of a physical job and the traumas of living in a climate change sort of spot. And it was time well spent. And also there was group energy, being in a big group of people and practicing Qigong, absolutely fantastic. So what we did there was Taiji and Qigong. So the first part of the class was that silent sitting, and the second part of the class was a set of Qigong. And now this might be a good spot where we talk about, well, actually, I'm going to hold off on what you'll get to see and practice some Qigong in a bit. But the second half of class was Tai Chi. And Tai Chi, he did a certain style. There's all kinds of styles. I want to say there's like 3,500 different styles of this Tai Chi and Qigong. What he practiced was Yang style, short form, as taught by Qin Man Qing. Qin Man Qing was a famous teacher who came from Taiwan. He may have been, well, yeah, he would have been old enough to come over from mainland China in 1949 with the sort of Kuomintang and the whole Taiwanese thing. But I want to show you a picture of him. So there he is. Now, you'll kind of notice like his slowness. If you were to go up and push him, if he wanted you to, he would fall over. If he didn't, you would fall down and maybe bounce back a few feet. But also notice that he's never really stopped, and then his whole body, like just in that little move, his whole body is moving as one thing. He's about to do a roll back. And this is 37 postures. He's about to go into single whip. There are 37, it's a movement, but they're all sort of strung together. It's a really beautiful and relaxing thing. A lot of people will, that they'd seen this in the park and it was so nice and so wonderful that they themselves, just by watching, were got a sense of peace and had were relaxed by watching. So I also want to show you. So he came from Taiwan and he came to New York City. It's interesting. I will talk about this, that these were like secret practices. I don't know if you guys watch like Kung Fu, like the secret, it was always part of the Kung Fu movie is that the families like held on to their secrets and they would fight each other for their secret, who's the dragon warrior, type of thing. But there's this sense that they were like, you know what? The world needs to know this. So fuck it. Like just go to America and teach people to do this. Like don't hold any secrets. There are no secrets anymore. So he comes to New York City and this is what he looks like.
The heavy and light, one's fully does empty, one is empty.
So he doesn't speak very well, good English, so he's got a translator. He's showing off the move.
Turn the hips straight, direction. Don't let the back leg be straight, right knee should be bent. Don't let the front knee go beyond.
He's got the knees over toes thing. Don't let your knees go beyond your toes.
Yeah, this way is nice. He's asking how do you figure out what the face is straight or not? This is straight.
It's very particular, these movements, but I will tell you this, that is almost secondary to just enjoying and feeling good in your body.
Facing that direction, okay. Why do you want it? Why should it be straight? So this is very important. That's the most important one. The two bones here.
Okay, here's another, and this next clip, there's all these famous students in the room with him. So this guy, I think Ken Cohen is in there somewhere. They talk about it down in the one of the things about him was that he was a calligrapher, and he also had a like a malady all through his youth, so that he, he's almost infirmed, and that he used these practices. Now you'll see another thing where, oh, he may be doing push hands. Yeah. So there's like a two-person dance where it's kind of like contact improv, where they move the energy back and forth by lightly touching on their wrist and forearm. So he's showing that he's yielding, and then he's going, he's yinging and yang. Yielding back, and he's pivoting and going forward. You'll see these guys, these Tai Chi masters, are bouncing their students all over the place, and it's kind of silly, but yeah, he's got them all in a line, and they're doing push hands together. So that's Jin Menching, famous guy. So now might be good. So we've meditated in. Do you want to do? I see that Josh has been sort of practicing. I wouldn't mind showing you. So basically, I was working at this wheatgrass farm, and it was very physical. I was carrying trays of wheatgrass and shoveling, and like it was intense workout 3 times a week. But during my lunch hour or on my way home, and oh man, this would be great to get a picture of this overlook. Where I would stop my van and do one of these two practices. Would you want to do a few minutes of this practice? All right, Joshua gives a thumbs up.
Sounds fine to me.
Yeah. And it's so basically this guy, Lee Holden, he is a teacher. So Mantak Chia, I think that Mantak Chia is from Indonesia. I think he came to New York City. He studied with Chin Manching, along with this guy Michael Wynn. Those two started writing books. Michael Wynn went to stayed in the States, and Chim En-ching went to Thailand, where he has his retreat center. This guy, Lee Holden from Santa Cruz, he just a surfer kid, and he went out to Thailand and took Mantak Chia's courses and became one of his most famous sort of teachers. He was featured in a PBS special a few years back, maybe 10, 15 years ago now. But became like really I think one of the more prevalent teachers out. And to our benefit, he did not do a copyright infringement on these two routines, an AM and PM routine. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I thought I had a link to it. I might have to find it. Oh man, I know I did. Oh yeah, here we go.
Welcome to this 20-minute.
Oh boy, it's really low, the sound.
Qigong routine.
Can you hear
This
this?
one again is for more energy, designed to give you the lightning flash of vitality that we all want to start our day, or just anytime you want a little.
Okay. I don't know why it's so soft. I can barely hear it, but Josh says he can hear it. Let's stand up. We're the first few movements up to this shaking. So the first 5 minutes we'll do, and then we'll pause and see how we feel. All right. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to this 20-minute Qigong routine. This one again is for more energy, designed to give you that lightning flash of vitality that we all want to start our day, or just anytime you want a little bit more energy and vitality. This will be a great routine. Let's start by bending the knees. We're going to do a movement called knocking on the door of life. You're going to turn from your hips and your waist. Relax your shoulders and just let your arms knock across your lower back and across your lower abdomen. Go ahead and take a nice deep breath. These pressure points across the lower back and around the lower abdomen are designed for more energy. Now, the movement of your spine helps to create suppleness and flow and flexibility through the spine. Again, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, keep those knees bent, feel centered and balanced, and enliven the spine with the movement. You can just gently turn, look over one shoulder, and feel that stretching and opening your upper back. Now from here, let's go into another pressure point. Just bring one hand just below the collarbone and knock on the chest. These points are for your lungs, designed to bring more energy into your body. So take a deep breath. These points are also good for your immune system. Make your body stronger. It's like your Qigong flu shot. Keep you healthy and strong and vital. One more acupressure point that we'll do in this exercise. Let's come up over the shoulder and knock on the top of the shoulder. This one brings energy, circulation, and flow into the neck, upper back, and into the head. This point here is said to help make good decisions, because as the chi opens from the neck and shoulders and goes to the head, we have clearer energy in the mind for decision making. Good. Now come back down, knock on the chest and the lower back. Little turn, look over the shoulder, stretch the spine. Slow it down, and relax. Goody. Now, bring the hands up over the head. Take a deep breath, and we'll exhale and come down into a movement called the tiger. Bend your knees here. And come up, inhale, and just go as low as you can, comfortably. Go as low as you can. If you can sink all the way down, that's great. If not, just come down as far as you can comfortably. Good. Inhale, come up. This will strengthen your legs, open your hips and your waist. Bring energy and vitality up through the body. Here, you're cleansing your internal organs, and then you come down towards the earth, towards the ground. Inhale, and feel here, any energy you no longer need, just bring it down to the earth. And then take it up. Exhale, old energy. Inhale, new energy. It's kind of a flushing and a cleansing exercise, as well as a strength and an energy enhancer. Inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. One more time. Take a deep breath and exhale. Very good. All right. Next one, let's do some chi massage to again stimulate acupressure points for more energy and vitality. We're going to start here at the door of life and the kidney area. Go up and down your lower back. Up and down this area. Your adrenal glands are right here and your kidneys. This is the door of life. Down to the tailbone. Stimulate those points.
This will be the last one we do, and then we'll pause.
Now the meridians and the energy pathways go from the lower back down the outside of the leg. So here with both hands simultaneously go down the outside of your legs. And then come up the inside of the legs to your hips and your waist. Do that again. Slap down the outside of the legs. Come up the inside. And then right here on your hips, just knock on the hips. This is called the leg gates. It promotes good circulation through the legs and down to the feet. And now up to the chest. Knock on the chest. Take a nice deep breath. Hold the breath at the top of the inhale. Hold and turn the breath into more energy. Then exhale. Do that again. Inhale. Hold the breath. Knock a little stronger. Turn that breath into energy. Exhale. One more time. Exhale. Now, slap down the inside of the arm. This is the flow of the meridians as they come down the inside. And now up the outside to the neck and shoulder. Knock down the inside of the arm. Come up the outside of the arm. Knock there on the neck and shoulder area. Free up some tension. Come across to the other side and knock. Come up the outside of the arm to the neck and shoulders. This little knocking routine, we're freeing up the flow of chi, turning tension back into flow. Back to the chest. One more deep breath. Exhale all the way out. Hands down to the sides. Feel your energy open, awake, circulating. And just start to shake it out. Shake your wrists and your elbows and your shoulders. That's it. And bounce into your heels a little bit and just shake the whole body.
Okay.
And this is going to transform stress. Anywhere you're holding tension or tightness in the body, it transforms it back into vital energy. You have a tremendous amount of energy already inside yourself. So we want to release it, free it up, and access your own inner potential. So here, take a deep breath through the nose. We're going to...
Okay. So I wanted to pause here to answer some questions and to sort of go through. One of the things, so try to formulate some questions, but I do want you to know that it's important to not do anything weird. There's a couple of Tai Chi principles at work here, and I want you to think if there are any that you recognize or that you heard him say, and then we can talk about these, or if you have any other sort of questions about, if you have any other questions about what he went through. Rob, Josh?
I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to take I'll be right back.
Okay, all right.
My question has to do with energy, like the view of energy, like what is energy, chi being energy, and also like, is it a thing to like, is it a thing to groom? I'm a guy that's constantly trying to have a good energy and a good mood in my day every day, but like in the qigong practice, when you're feels like your energy is there, but it's more like gardening, so I'd like to hear if about your philosophy and what you found about how the qigong practice talks about energy.
So that's actually a great place to start. And thank you for the question. So it's really one of the first things that that sort of like that beginning class, and understanding energy. Like this was my introduction to
Now the Jedi
life
are all
force
but extinct.
energy. Back in I'd ridden in
Vader
the
was seduced by the dark
I was ridden in
side
the
of
back
the
of
Force.
the station
The
wagon
Force?
in
The Force is what gives the
1977.
Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
I can't. It's too big. Lies make
So the force from Star Wars is actually a good starting point, but it's less, this is a mystical energy, and it is mystical, meaning that it's ineffable. It's not necessarily measurable, even though there's always attempts to sort of measure it. But when you were working, you can feel it? I think, another way to feel chi is to rub your hands together. And you can say, well, that's frictional force, like you can feel it, but there's also a little bit of tingling or buzzing that you can feel. The other one is to your fingernails together. If you do that for a second, and so you can feel it, right? It's the same energy, like that we are all sort of sharing it, and all of life and everything on the planet, including like rocks and the oceans, the stars, the moon, everything here in this universe has this energy. Now, in the Chinese tradition, or in this qigong tradition, there is what's called primordial qi, which is what's out there in the world. This is actually another form of Chinese traditional medicine, feng shui, which is how to set up your house and your living environments such that the qi is generated and not drained. Likewise with what you eat. But these qigong are movements and breath patterns to sort of activate, channel, and etc. There's all these different ways to move around the chi. You might have heard him talking about the meridians. The chi in the body moves in meridians. The meridians are tied to the organ systems of the body. I know that like K38, kidney point 38 is here. Like lung 1 is on the big toe. But there are tons of meridian points along the body. So there's primordial chi that's out there in the universe, and then there's prenatal or our personal chi. Like things have chi. Like a cup of coffee, there's chi in there. You know, and then you said, Josh, actually a good thing that we cultivate the chi as opposed to making it, or like we create the conditions and then the chi flows to it. There's the story in the Tao Te Ching of the empty cup, meaning that the the cup is a container, but what's inside the cup is the power or the value. Same with the house. The house is walls, but what really the most important thing is what goes on inside of the house. Another way to think of energy is like that feeling that you get when you hear your favorite song or when someone recites an incredible poem right in front of you. You know, like being able to be right next to a performer, like performers are generating and pumping out chi, entertainers. And I think Josh, I think you understand that. Like being on the stage, being in the spotlight. I just started working at Citi Field as an usher, and let me tell you, when the bases are loaded and it's the bottom of the ninth, and a guy has one swing to like everyone is feeling it. There's anxious, like you can tell when the whole crowd gets anxious. You can tell when that like the ball is out and there's anticipation. I was like, will it go out? Will it, people generate chi. And actually a stadium concentrates chi. So that's a great question. So what other, oh, okay, we got Star Wars up here. What other, did you see like the principle of alignment in that little segment? Yeah. And then the whole body movement. I think that you could see that with when like the lion, he was just called the lion. There's also kind of funny that all of them have old school like oral tradition names, like shaking the tree, for this whole body shaking thing. You saw that he went slow, and then he gave us a different breath pattern. He said in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then this one is interesting. This do no harm. I remember that from my very beginning yoga classes. Ahimsa means don't do anything harm. It's in our Hippocratic Oath with the doctors and stuff. But basically, it means like respect and understand and be aware of what's going on in your body, and then not doing anything that is going to hurt it. Another principle is like the intelligence of the body. Like if you get your brain and you get present and aware, I think that it's very difficult to hurt yourself because your body will sort of takes control. There's a wisdom in the sort of evolutionary history of these physical bodies. They have a wisdom. When we start talking about the Chinese 5 elements and the organs, they kind of specialize. But we'll put this body wisdom as a intelligence, as like a principle that your body knows. Okay. So these principles, yeah. Rob, any questions? I know that we could go to some of the questions that you asked before, which I got them down here. Like basically, how to do it. And then really, how should you start? I think are good questions to ask. And or we can keep up with that. We can continue on with that class. And we have like another 15 minutes.
Yeah, either way is fine by me. Those were questions, that I thought were like, could be good, would be good kind of general questions.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to talk about um, like how often, how long to do that, because I think there's a way, I mean, I know that Joshua and I, have both, practiced Qigong for, for what seems like long enough to sort of get the basics.
The
So,
basics, yeah.
yeah. So, for the folks here, those might not be needed, but I think it's good to check in, about, because it's like, for me, there's this aspect of how to bring it in as a sustainable practice. And then,
Yeah.
like, how many practices do I have? Because Qigong is great. But then there's also, the other things that I could be doing. And so then, and I don't want to, like, sometimes I'll try and do too much, and then it's like, and then I burn out. But then sometimes, you might just be like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. And then that's, like so I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, about kind of like being able to keep up the practice or the discipline.
Yeah, that is, I think there's a couple of things. Because and Joshua, it'd be good to kind of get, because I think you're coming off of a small hiatus. Um, Qigong worked so well for me when I had a physical job, and on my feet, um, and I needed like the either the accelerate in, like to kind of and actually Lee Holden talks about this. It's like a sunset or a sunrise practice. So it's really good but for an office worker, not physical, sedentary sitting, I feel that Qigong needs to have like a complementary like like weightlifting or like yoga, which I'm not a big fan of yoga. And the difference between Qigong and yoga is stark because yoga has this posture oriented type of thing. There's not a lot of like flowing movements in yoga. Um, so I think that you you have to find that like that thing that really sustains you and supports you and feels good. And then if it feels good, then you find the right amount, like because everyday practice, actually that in my mind, something that's very lightweight and everyday is really great. I did the Nanlu Earth Dragon with a buddy, and we did it for a few months every day, and it was really good. It was really good. And when you do it every day, you really can see the difference over time. Um, yeah. Joshua, what do you think about like, and you're picking up the practice again. Any comment there?
Yeah, just like anybody with anything, um, how to do it, who to do it with, how long will it last, to feel good, and so I mean all the basic questions. And yeah, I mean, I you know, I have a routine um on my app that's like an hour of stretching in the morning, but it's really focused on the injury. It's focused on the ankle, and I used to do all sorts of stuff that I'm bringing back. That's like this 5 Tibetan rites. That's kind of
Five Tibetan rites.
so I was doing the 5 Tibetan rites for like 10 years or something. And it's like you swivel and you put your legs up, and it's just
Very
like,
intense.
yeah, it's just a couple minutes. I mean, but I would start every day like that. And yeah, I mean, the last one, the downward dog, I mean, I still can't really like do that. But getting back to the mobility, I mean, you know, I want to do all the things that I could have done. And my routine in the morning, it's basically like the bands, the stretches, the thing, it's strengthening, hips and legs. But I always incorporate some downward dog and some cat cow, some other things. So I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can blend all sorts of practices, and also
Yeah.
with my injury, I was picking up weights for the first time. I had some light weights because I wanted something without being able to walk, right? I was like,
Mm.
well, how do I get cardio? And I asked a couple PTs that. I was like, how do I do cardio if I can't walk? And they were like, oh, you can get a little bicycle, you can get a little bicycle thing. You can do chair Zumba,
Mm.
you can do things chair. But walking is like that's, that's the only thing that I really do. And so, um, yeah, I like the Qigong teacher I had. I mean, it was a focus on the spiritual side. And it was mostly a class of seniors that they were just getting their light aerobic exercise, something movement, but he really went into like a lot of the theories about like stillness for a healthy mind, movement for a healthy body, just like general principles about like longevity. And you know, I started the Zoom Qigong during the pandemic, and I was like, I need to do something. And yeah, so I still like this holistic collective that we can do something on Zoom. And I'm in a live space. I've done a bunch of events in this room: poetry, music, film, workshops, artist meetups. And so yeah, I mean, the last year I've been focusing on bringing people into the room, which has been challenging, but um yeah.
It's interesting, and I mean, I'm glad that you're recovering from your injury,
Yeah,
but
thanks.
these techniques were really meant for that. I know that yoga, and the similar to with qigong and these other things, is basically that the monks who were doing their spiritual practice um were having trouble, and that they were getting sick, or the fighters that were going out were getting injured, and they needed um something for preventative, to like keep them in shape, but then also to heal after they hurt their ankle or been, had an injury. And not just the physical, but also the spiritual, mental, emotional injury.
Yeah.
And I feel that there's something that happens. Well, it's actually pretty much proven in Western science, the whole idea of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic autonomic nervous system, meaning the things that happen all the time if you're in a state of stress that you can't control. A person consciously can't control their fight flight response, which actually is, we used to talk about fight and flight, and then there was fight, flight, and freeze, which I was just like, oh, I think I'm sort of a freezer. And then there's actually another one that I just heard, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which is to sort of like get up in your attacker's face and compliment and be like, oh, look, it's, like appeasement. This is the British the British model.
I don't know that one as a way to break though, because the method I use is how do you break, which is yeller, crier, runner, and then zombie, which is what I am. Like you just like
Right.
freeze.
The zombie would be the freezer.
Freeze, yeah.
Yeah, which is what I was like. I was like, no, yeah, it feels like I'm a zombie. I'm a, like, the frozen, can't scream,
Yeah,
can't
I'm a zombie
can't
too.
yell type of. That's always my thing.
Yeah.
But I will. This is how this fits into the qigong, is that something in it, because okay, so the mind body connection, the and I remember having this. I was writing my notes on the wall. I was taping butcher board up on the wall, and I remember writing this down. I was like, it's a two-way street. So my mind is influencing my body, like this fight or flight response. It's like my mind and my emotions are giving me the freeze response, but my body is also in the conversation, and I can deepen my breath, calm my body, go through these gentle movements, and then I'm not frozen. And then it's like it sort of can break it up, and it will pull me out of that state. Um, So it's like, and the way my shorthand for that is it's a two-way street. The mind and the body are talking to each other, but it's not just the mind giving the body instructions. The body is also, it's just like, oh, I'm deep breathing, so I can't be that stressed. I had a buddy who was doing one of the psychedelic drug therapies and was having sort of like, panic type, thoughts. And he's like, his mantra was, is my hair on fire? And can I breathe? Is my hair on fire? And can I breathe? And he's like, nope, hair's not on fire. Can I breathe? Yes, I can breathe. Then it's okay. So the idea being that, you can not force, but sort of encourage yourself to breathe, and then influence your energy state, your non-physical body, which is pretty powerful, especially to get that lesson and then to learn a couple of things. Although I did learn that if you spontaneously do some gentle qigong movements when you're in a stressful situation, that can also cause more stress for the people that you're in conflict with. They don't like that. They don't like that. You're like, if you're like, oh, I just need to move my arms and hands a little bit, that's weird and can be they may trigger their fight or flight response. Yeah. Let's do well, you want to finish that class up? So or we can answer some more of these, or we can answer some more of these questions. Basically, if someone was to say, how should I start? There's plenty of YouTube. These teachers, and I'll show you the teachers that I've got. I'll show you some of my favorite routines. And these are routines that are the ones that I've done many times. And then actually, you had asked about what is qi. The symbol, the pictogram for qi, if you remember, is the steam rising off of rice. And that's sort of the feeling. I remember being out at the hot springs, and it was a cold morning, but the sun had come up, and we were all like, on this sort of deck, and you could see the steam rising up from the people's bodies, after they'd gotten out of the pool and the sun. And then, it's also kind of, from another perspective, this steam is invisible, so that you kind of have to have the conditions right to see it. But I've always felt that I feel qi as steam rising up from like my shoulders in particular. Then the other one is I call the warm pajamas, like a warm and fuzzy sort of sensation all through my body, and especially my hands. So the hands are, the ends of the meridians, and they have a lot of qi in them. Okay, so that's a little bit about qi. Now,
Newman, is this Miro board going to be available, for folks to look at?
Yeah, it's just on my little scratch pad. Do we have an HSC mirror board? I can also export it as a PDF, and the links will work and all that sort of stuff, I think. So yeah, I can definitely make this available. And I'm hoping to put this in the lending library, sort of as a resource. It's just, if someone comes by and they're interested in qigong, like, these are curated routines and links and teachers that are vetted in a way.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean to be rude. I know taking it from 3 to 2 is like a huge drop, but I have to go about my day. So
no worries.
I've stayed as long as I can stay. I was like, oh, if there was 5 people and it went to 4, but hey, it's going from 3 to 2, so I know it's going to affect things, but I have to continue on.
No worries, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah,
all
great.
good.
Thanks for having me. Look forward to the next one.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
Yeah, see you guys later.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
later.
Okay. So
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. You know, even somebody like myself who's been, a few years, and if I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not in a different place than when I was practicing before. So like, how do I start again? Right? This is a helpful resource.
so so for instance, with Joshua, um, he might he you don't have to necessarily move around so much. But I'll just talk through each of these routines. Pieces of Eight from Mimi Kuo, Deemer. She no Pieces of Eight, or Eight Pieces of Brocade, is a super old traditional set. Um, it looks like this. So this is the old illustrations. Um, and like, if you do a search on YouTube for Pieces of Eight Qigong, you'll get a gajillion of them. Mimi Kuo, her video has like 5 million views. It's like it's a really good set. They're about 20 minutes long. But basically it's a series of 8 movements that give you like the equivalent of the full body workout, and just for general health and all of the meridians. I don't have the pictures of the meridians, but I do have a picture of all um, of the 5 elements, or the 5 organs, which actually brings us up to the next. Sorry to whip all this around. The next set, and that's the 6 healing sounds. So, and here, let's get. Oh, you know what? No. I want you to hear just a little bit of Mimi.
This is the Qigong practice of the 8 brocades, or Ba Duan Jin.
Yeah.
We start in a standing meditation, left hand over right for women on the dantian, men reversed, right hand over left.
They always do this thing with the right and left hand,
breathing,
men and women.
quieting.
But
The 8 brocades are named after the silk brocades, suggesting a feeling of smooth, silken movements. The first is for the triple heater. 2 hands support the heavens. The arms reach up, fingers interlace, and then the palms turn towards the sky. As you exhale, the arms begin to slowly float out and down. This repeats. Inhale, gathering from in front of the body. Fingers interlace about the level of the forehead. The palms extend overhead. Exhaling, the arms slowly again release out, clearing and releasing.
so she'll do this one for a little bit, and then she'll do the next one, which is really great.
2 objects that are quite heavy apart from each other.
Spin the hand.
Inhalation, exchange the arms. And again, exhale about the level of the ribs and the level of the ears. 2 hands press.
He was the number one viewer.
Yeah.
Continue and repeat the arms.
So while I'm switching to this next one, I think one of the principles is do no harm. I showed that to a friend of mine, and we just did the first one, and it's also sometimes called fireworks. Many of like lifting your arms up overhead. A lot of people, they can't do that, and I showed to my friend, and he'd had a shoulder injury. He's like, I couldn't do it. I was like, don't do any harm. Like, if you can't do it on one side, just do it on the other side. Or if you can't go this high, just go this high. The idea is, we're some people suspect, I'm sort of one of them, is just to feel good moving your body if your body's not used to feeling good and moving it. And I think a lot of people will invent things. It's like, oh, it hurts, or it's, this. It's like, don't do those things that hurt. You're still going to get the benefit if you do those other principles. Move slowly, balance, harmony, all those things. Like your energetic body can work. Actually, I don't have him on here, but a guy named Janke, Robert Janke, The Healer Within. Oh, I've got his book here. Hold on. Yeah, this guy. Roger Janke, The Healer Within. He's like people doing it like in a like completely in bed, and they listen to the people outside with the music, and they just do it in their head, and it helps because your energetic body is not limited by your physical body, especially with large groups. You'll see people that are like wheeled out in wheelchairs to like sit and watch the people in the park to do it. Just feeling that like group energy can be like completely restorative. The Chinese hospitals do it. There's special traditional Chinese hospitals that use these modalities. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to say that's. I mean, I think that's one of the most important points. I really appreciate you bringing that in. For me, that was probably the biggest thing I had to learn around this practice and some other practices. I'm like a striver, right? So I want to do everything the best.
Yeah. Yes. You have, yeah.
So qigong and yoga and these were helpful practices, painful, but I had to learn the lessons, to understand like it's okay to just move within my limitations.
Your physical limitations.
Within my physical limitations. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And if I do that, then I'm actually going to come out, better. But then if I'm, like trying to like do it some particular way or look like some particular person. So I like that, to do no harm.
Yeah, and I feel like, and that's that ahimsa thing. And it's so often so hard, it's easy to say, hard to do and follow. The first yoga class that I took was with this very strong, and I was sort of attacking it in that mindset. Like I need to put my head in this. And I was even trying, I knew it was just like, don't hurt yourself, blah, blah, blah. But it was still like the group energy and wanting to kind of fit in and follow along.
Yeah.
I'm like tweaking my thing out, and I was destroyed the next day. So now it's like, I know my body. I think that some people's bodies, like they like to be pushed and they can go over and do, but my body would rather like, they call it in Qigong, they have the 70% rule. It's just like, don't do anything to 100%, like we've got the 110%, like, I'm going to do 100%. Chinese Qigong, they do 70%. It's like, yes, don't go to the end of your range to 10, don't even go to 9 or 8, but go to 7, to where it feels good. And that you're, this is an important point. This next one, the 6 healing sounds from Mantek, and I'm going to pull that up and he'll start playing. But he talk about these organ systems, right? And so I didn't know which side my liver was on, or I didn't know what a spleen was. I didn't really know like which way my colon went, on any of that sort of stuff. But this inner smile and the 6 healing sounds, like you don't visualize, but you sense into your organs. And each one of them has a sound, and you can kind of think of it as like it's like their favorite tone or vibration, and that you kind of
hold your hand near your lungs.
Yeah. So this is Mantek.
Lower your mind, lower your eyes, look into your lungs, and looking left and right into your lungs. Left lung, right lung, 1. Left, right, 2. 3, 4. See getting deeper and deeper into your lungs. See any sadness or depression.
Right. So this is let's get him doing
Cloudy gray color.
doing the sound. He does these really cool graphics.
Yeah.
The sound. Oh, here we go. But anyway, Mantek Chia, super awesome guy. And I'll tell the story of this creation cycle, in the 5-element system. So you can kind of see that they sort of we can begin this story in the winter, in the kidneys and the water element. I kind of visualize one, it's the color blue, which you got here, this dark color. And this is like everything is collecting in the water, under the ice. It's small, it's slow, calmness, silence, gentleness, dark blue color. And then the spring comes, so it goes from water to wood, from the kidneys to your liver. The liver sound, do they have the sounds here? The liver sound is shh. The kidney sound is but the water grows the wood, the spring, the positive emotions, kindness, generosity. The negative emotions are anger and faith, which is
I don't know that.
But then,
I don't think faith I think faith is is positive there. And
you
anger
may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Because in kidney it says fear, then generosity, and wood is anger and faith.
Right. Yeah. Joyce, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Or it may be a translation error. Like it might mean something. But the wood grows strong, and each of these that Mimi quote, they talk about through the meridian system. It's not something that I have like a strong sense of, namely because I haven't really felt it working in that granular a way. But I do love this story about the water growing the wood. The wood burns up in the fire in the summertime fire. It then becomes like the earth, like a bare earth after a fire, the ash, all that wood, all that earth builds up into the mountain, which is the lungs, and then the metal element. And then they, in Tibet, the Everest is called the mother of the ocean because it's always in clouds. So the mountain attracts the cloud, and that starts it all over again with the water in the winter. It's interesting because this has a daily clock. So right now we're at the fourth. We're in the bladder water meridian time.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is kind of a fun, like if we can kind of think about this, like what in your routine of one's day, just like we have the routine of the year, like the routine of one day, that we make time to focus on the individual parts of our body, both physical and non-physical bodies.
Yeah.
So that's
I want to say, I want to make a note about something I said, in regards to like, negative and positive. I do want to, my voice sounds so weird with the 5 elements. I don't know that I necessarily think of like those as negative or positive, or that I would use those terms. They're more like attributes. And I did a lot of study of ancient, Chinese five element, you know, theory. And yeah, it's really great. So we don't have to, go into all of that, but I really love it because there's an aspect of that where it's used to like this to be able to let folks sort of identify what their natural attributes are, right? So
Yeah.
in this idea, it's like everybody is has a predominant element and then a secondary element. I mean, everybody has all five, but you have this predominant and then your secondary. And if you can identify those, and that's why for me it was really helpful to be able to identify those and then say, oh, okay, these are these natural,
Yeah.
these natural attributes and tendencies that I have. Now, how can I work with them? And so I'm like super wood, so I haven't looked at this for a while, but I'm just looking. I'm like, oh yeah, but then they can get your primary and your secondary can get, if you have there's traumas or things like that, or they can get flipped around. And there's ways where it's really helpful to identify these because then you're able to see like where they're working in ways that are helpful for you, and then when they're working in ways that are like a little maladapted. So yeah, I don't need to go off too much on it, but that's really it's another aspect that's really cool.
Well, one of the cool things about this tradition is that it is an embodied practice. So like learning about this attribute or this, it's just like you can just do the practice and then it will come to you. That sort of adage, like the teacher appears when the student is ready, meaning that you can do this qigong forever and not really sort of, but then one day you'll be like, oh, my liver, like I think that's green, energy, liver qi, or yeah, there's the person here that does the singing, that kind of like as a spiritual practice, like this toning, because it is a breath, and the vibratory sort of nature of our thing, and that is a connector between all of these components, that they all sort of like speak the language of vibration,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I can dig that. And there's like the theory and there's the understanding, but then there's the actual practice,
Yeah.
And if I think that's the idea is like you can, if you read, 50 books about Qigong, that's not bad, that's like can be helpful, but it's not, it's not the same as doing that and then practicing the Qigong,
Yeah. That is, yeah, that's exactly the and it is important to be in balance, I think, with those things. We can do this. So we did some, we'll go back through some of these routines. We don't need to get to all of them, but they all are really pretty cool. Like this one, Zhan Zhong, that's how you pronounce that, Zhan Zhong, from Lam Cam Chuin. He is this dude, and this is it's a great playlist of 10 1-hour, I think they're 10 like little segments, called Stand Still and Be Fit, based out of Hong Kong. He lives in Hong Kong, so you'll hear his English lady.
In China, stillness was an important part of life, but in the 20th century,
can you hear him?
We have become addicted to movement. So stillness is a forgotten art.
So just this standing, basically in this he'll teach you a little warm up. So this is the warm up.
And then go other side.
So it's a real simple
Pulling
Qigong
out.
exercise, and you'll
1
notice that it
second.
looks a lot like number
And
3
coming in.
pieces of brocade.
Pulling out. Breathing out also.
And then he'll show you
Supporting to the balloon.
a
You
standing
feel
posture,
fine.
and they could be like this, or like, you know,
Now
hands
your
around,
belly.
you know,
Remember,
you can
the
have
belly
hands
don't
up,
stick out like
hands
that. That's wrong.
around.
Not even
Yeah.
stick out bottom. Come.
It's the vital force of the cosmos.
And then while you're doing the
The
standing,
aim of Jan
they do a
Zhong
little
is to feel our
Dharma
chi,
talk,
our
they give a
natural
little thing.
energy, and learn to develop its balanced flow through our body.
And this is awesome.
It's a soft form of fitness,
They
a
have
gentle strength.
在练功的时候还需不需要什么样的意念？就是加上什么样的意念？
要需要那个意念很复杂，很多这个意念呢，就是
they have this beautiful
抽象的
Chinese
意念，
or
抽象的
Taiwanese.
好像
Oh, well, actually, he's Hong Kong. Yeah.
像这个有淋浴，下雨的时候在淋浴那样的，你这练的时候，你好像是很自然的这个有这个下雨的一个感觉。
So this is one of my favorite parts of going through this playlist. Because you're just standing there and you're having an experience that she is moving around, and then you get this great, because you're not reading it, but you just listen to this Chinese guy like explaining what's going on. Really nice. Yeah, so that's Zhanzhong. The next one, I don't know why I put these so far away. The next one is the Lee Holden, which we did, and those are just great general purpose. In each one of these, like Mimi Kuo, Lee Holden has like you can buy his monthly program, or like he does workshops, etc. Same with this guy Sifu Anthony. Here he is, Anthony Kohias. He was based in Florida. I don't have a link. Oh, I do have a link from him. And we might walk through what he calls the closing sequence, which is like a massage. And we might do that in a few minutes. Nan Lu is a guy in New York who's also active still, and he does this thing called the Dragon's Way. And then this last one is Donna Eden. She has like kind of California-ized, non-traditional Qigong energy practice. So it's kind of an amalgamation of like Reiki and, it's sort of, its own American Californian style, but very powerful and very, like she's been at it for a long, long time, the real deal.
Yeah, she's amazing. No, I know. I actually did. That's one of the routines, like the Donna Eden, the like 5-minute, energy routine. I probably every day for about 2 years.
Yeah. That was one of them, with the way. Yeah.
The only thing I was like, it's a little more than 5 minutes. There's a little, I'm like, usually takes me about 7 to 10.
You could, yeah. She's like, you can do it in 5 minutes. You're like, what, lady? Come on.
You can, but I can't. A person can. I'm not able to with it being effective, but that's okay. That's just a little quibble.
If you've got her, I just think her smile, and like, we got to listen to this.
Hi, I'm Donna Eden, and I'm going to share with you the daily energy routine. This is a wonderful routine that you can do in a very short amount of time, less than 6 or 7 minutes max.
Yeah, the
if you thump right on your cheekbones,
again, that's sort of like, it's like
deep,
a massage.
You will literally ground yourself.
When I was in Taiwan, and I hadn't really been doing Qigong, but I was like, I guess at that point I had done this yoga class in Anchorage, and I went to yoga, and they did this slapping. Like, this was like the thumping was a big part of the yoga.
Yeah.
Kind of changed. They were like, no, we're keeping the tapping. So if you go to those Chinese parks, you'll always see the old people are always slapping them. Mantek Chia, somebody asks us like, what is the one thing? He's just like, you've got to beat them, beat your kidneys, beat your heart, beat your, your liver, like really hit it, hit all your organs, hit your stomach. Like he's very into bringing chi, good, healthy, don't abuse yourself, but to bring that energy into the organs. And it's a way to get awareness and sort of like really grab a hold of your body. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I know, even if you just do the 3 thumps every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's look at Dan Liu's Dragon's Way here. This one's great because it's a bootleg. Someone's got it's a video of their thing, but he does like, it's kind of like it's a lower body kind of with these kicks, and it really will like transform the lower body. And then they end, let's get his voice in here.
Hip bone forward, then back to the beginning position. Then right side, raise your right heel. Then turn your right hip bone forward, then back to the beginning position. Let's try together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Make sure you are standing leg stays.
This one is the one that I recently did, and it was pretty powerful, meaning that it's like, oh wow, something's really, really happening. But it's my least. Yeah. Donna Eden is right up there. The AM/PM, Lee Holden is right up there. This one's sort of towards the end. The 6 healing sounds is very simple. Yeah. So we talked about like principles, did you know this guy? Are you old enough to remember this dude?
I think I'm as old as you. Casey Kasem?
Yeah. Did you listen to his thing?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Do you remember that? Keep your feet on the ground
totally.
and keep reaching for the stars. Which I always, for whatever, when I was, 10, 12 years old and listening to that, I'm like, oh yeah. And that's the whole, they call Tai Chi, Qigong, like the marriage of heaven and earth. This idea of you have like a connection up, like through your crown and the Bai Hui. That's the top Dantian, the top energy center. And then through your body, which is where the transformation happens, where everything gets mixed up. Not mixed up, but like transform in and out, kind of moving through, and then down to the earth, like through your feet and through your, and that this sort of constant flow in between is the dance that we are in. And this is sort of common in a lot of like tradition, that we're here in this middle plane, like, dealing with these big forces. And that Qigong gives you some verbiage or terminology to work with those things, and then some very real and practical things to get out of, your stressed way of one's stressed way of dealing with. Now, all of this comes from the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. Did you get into the Tao Te Ching much when you were?
Yeah.
So it's funny. I don't like listening to it when I go to sleep, which is, like with a lot of the Dharma talks, like Alan Watts and Ram Dass, like they'll put me to sleep. But the Tao Te Ching, especially this Wayne Dyer one, is it's really, really difficult.
The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The Tao is both named and nameless. As nameless, it is the origin of all things. As named, it is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. ever desiring. One sees only the manifestations.
Ooh, you know, without desire, you can see the real thing. When you desire, you really only see the 10,000 things. And the 10,000 things is like the Chinese sort of way, their shortcut for like the illusion of life, like just the superfluous, the manifestations, like I think Maya, or like the thing, and that this the polarity is the mother of those 10,000 things. If you were looking for the 10,000, but it can be the gateway to the infinite, if you're looking the other way, I guess. That's how I'm sort of thinking of that now. But each one of these logions or stanzas are really fascinating, and they're all like, there's several. I think this is an actual translation by Wayne Dyer. He spent a year, like really close to the end of his life, just going through the Tao Te Ching, which I thought was interesting because he was such like a pop psychologist guy, in the late 70s and 80s. And I think he was really on it. I think he was a gifted thing, but he was like, oh yeah, I read the Tao Te Ching when I was a teenager and I thought I had gotten it, whatever. But in the end of his life, he made it a huge part of like what he was about.
Wow.
And he created this thing. Yeah, like learning about all this and Star Wars, which is hilarious. I've got yeah, and I'll post some of these things. Like, I want to get Minka DeVos in here. Here's Minka. She's interesting.
And I've been working with Qigong for over 30 years. And I started out with running a retreat center called Silent Ground. For 20 years, we had people come from all over coming to retreat to get in touch with themselves. The Qigong is Oriental breath therapy, and it has a at least 5,000 years track record of healing, self-healing, and also healing others. With Qigong, we connect with the natural life force energy in the heavens and the earth and the human plane. So all the beings around us, we can draw that energy into ourselves and transform it and transform that energy. Also, we can get in touch with our own internal sources of energy, which is our creative sexual energy, and use that for self-rejuvenation. So it's an incredible science of longevity, to live a very good quality of life, where you can really feel the life force move us in ways that are very integrated, very aligned with nature. And
I really like Minka DeVos. She is actually one of my favorite teachers. One of the folks that I ran into out there in Lake County, along with Arch, was this guy David Ryan, who went to their retreat center and spent a few seasons. And at kind of a wild time, it was a retreat center that sort of it like kind of blew up with like too much energy. They sort of, I don't think they had found a tradition. They were just like, oh, we're gonna get here and do some of this work. And like it really she's got a heart transplant. She blew out her heart. She had a relationship was destroyed, like all these couples, and just, it was like kind of, I don't know if it was necessarily like cult like, but it's a cautionary tale of not of being I guess undisciplined with some of these more esoteric practices. but now I think they're sort of in the healing Tao, the Mantek Chia sort of thing. I think he went out there and kind of like tried to patch them all up or whatever. But she's very authentic, and she's got a great 6 healing sounds. Just only a few minutes. Maybe we want to do that one. Let's do this one. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a 6 healing sound sequence that's all in one flow, that's short and easy to do. So we'll start by breathing into our lungs, smiling into your lungs, lifting your arms up, and blowing out. Inhale to your kidneys, rounding your back, and blowing. Inhale to your liver, leaning your weight onto your right side. Inhale to your heart, transfer your weight to the left foot. Inhale to your stomach and spleen, curling under. Bring your feet together, inhale. And triple warmer sound. Clearing down the back. And down the middle. Good, let's do that one more time. Breathing into your lungs. Breathing into your kidneys. Breathing into your liver. Breathing into your heart. Breathing into your stomach and spleen. Exhale down the front. Bringing down excess heat down the triple warmer, down the back. Inhale, clear light, down the middle.
It's so good. Oh.
Cool. Fun to pick it up again.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Introduce
I
all
mean,
these teachers and all that. It's great.
yeah. And it is something like that question is like, how do you start? And what I can sort of offer to membership or people that are here, like this is a curated list of like my experience, that I'm a resource. And and it was good to just go, it was great for me to just go through and like remember all these things. Like all these principles, all the different sort of terms. One of the things like for our healing and health, like it's important to do as sort of workers. And there's if qigong is not your thing, there's all these other stuff. So I just want to sort of go through these, and these are things that I've also sort of tried. like other traditional Chinese medicine stuff, like acupuncture, acupressure, diet, and herbs. Um, I Miles, Miles. I'm trying to remember. I think his name is Miles. Um, Western herbalism and diet. You know, like there's great Western herbalism. Like I'm a big calendula fan and yarrow, and you know, like learning about the herbs and how they affect your system is super important. Yoga, Kundalini yoga, which is that breath work. Very quickly, I went to this yoga class, which was like standard yoga. Like I'm just calling it yoga with Adrian, who's great. Who's great. But I just couldn't, you know, I was like, well, it was at this health club, and I was like, oh, I'll just go to a different health club, and I found this Kundalini yoga class, and that was a big change in my life because it's basically an ancient form of breath work. Right now, Wim Hof is super popular. Holotropic breath work, which is like this partner sort of thing, and then Reichian therapy, which combines like breath work with like it used to call it like primal scream and like vocalization and stuff. Just fun. This idea, awareness through movement, also called Feldenkrais, which is so great about so it's called a somatic education. Also Alexander technique, and these other sort of forms where it's really like an exploration and a learning. They call it a lesson and not a practice or an exercise, because you're really trying to learn about your body. Meditation, I really want to highlight yoga nidra is super important and great. Like just Dharma talks, like with Wayne Dyer. This guy Bob Proctor is kind of an interesting dude. Wes Nesker is like the comedian. Like he's a joker kind of guy. There's that other Kyle Grease is like another comedian. We did it with the Kyligo exercise. That's that guy. Chanting and singing. Nichiren Buddhism, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Go and sit, and on Sunday mornings they do Nam-myoho Renge Kyo for hours, and it will blow your mind. Going to a retreat center like at Esalen in Big Sur, Omega in Rhinebeck, New York, Kripalu and Stonebridge, Mass. Doing the spa thing, massages, hot tubs, cold springs, you know, grounding, barefooting, and then dance. Ecstatic dance is a super great way to like really work with these energies in a ecstatic way, like where you can do your own thing and just kind of move with the stuff. So that's my skill share. That's the end of my talk. Hey,
voice. Woo. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, that's great. You know, for somebody who's, you know, who has practiced and learned about Qigong, you know, it was really, I was like, oh, it's helpful for me.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, oh, I just, you know, know all this, and you know, just it was like, oh, you know, and of course I haven't, you know, been doing the practice for a little while, but it's great to, you know, I don't have, you know, the curated sort of you know, that's the Skillshare. You created this like curated, you know, conglomeration of, you know, information and, you know, answers to common questions and, you know, resources. So I really like it.
Yeah, I thank you so much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. My intention is to keep working on this. Would I go on to become an educator, to like take a teacher training? You know, would someone else in HSC want to do take a class? Like good to do a Lee Holden workshop one Sunday. Like I think doing it together would be a lot of fun. So those are just things moving forward. Like maybe HSC would want like me and Joshua, or the three of us, or some of the other folks that might listen to this. I think that's the kind of fun thing that we can do as a community and practice together. Like,
yeah,
and that is like, as like solo entrepreneur type, we can support each other in this health thing, because it is regardless of what we're doing, this is zone zero, like the very first thing that we all have to deal.
yeah, absolutely. Right. And I guess that's what, you asked me if I wanted to speak to that at the beginning, and I was, it didn't seem like it, but I think that now, you're sort of like, that's how it wraps up, with this idea of like, yeah, how can we, right? Like each of us, right? There's a way, and this is just the normal way that we think about it, is like, all right, now I'm going to go off on my own. I'm going to try and figure out, Qigong, and I'm going to, see if I can keep myself, sort of doing it if if it speaks to me. But there's also a way where, where if you have a group of people, who can, you sort of have that same, yeah, I know that we can, like I can go to a class or something, but still, it's, if you have a group of people, not only, that can come together and have these kind of, like little group sessions, and, oh, let's just do this, video and support each other. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing, but it could be, even if every couple of weeks, I do that, it's sort of like, it gets me going. And there's also this idea of like, there's of somebody who is like is working as like a professional, wellness practitioner, maybe in something like Qigong, right? Then that person can then give, right? That person has something that's like a value exchange, where if somebody is like, oh, I really like Qigong, I want to sort of get into it, a little deeper, and I want to work with somebody, one-on-one, and have some one-on-one sessions, right? Then there can be value exchanges, right? In this complementary kind of way, where the Qigong teacher might need help with their, branding or technical, operations. So but I think that's like the idea, right? Is that all of us freelancers, we really need to be, doing what we need to do to take care of these vessels.
Yes.
And keep staying in health and wellness, and having that, as part of the group that's about like doing our professional work, but in that culture. And then, and then there's all these like health and wellness practitioners, and a lot of them, it's like, maybe they it's not their job to be like, working on their website or whatever, or sending
or any kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. We'll see what comes up. But enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, my man.
Thank you.
I'm going to remember to go over and do the coordinate before the end of the season.
Oh yeah, do that. And then hopefully in the next month or so we sort of be talking about more about these specific tokenomics, and have our tokens we're gathering, have them be worth something.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Take it easy. Thanks so much.
Ciao.
Take care.